Hey there. Welcome to Top of Mind. Real talk for today's woman. With Anna and Karen.
Annie, here we are,
Woohoo!
finally. It's taken us forever to put our schedules together and come here.
Isn't it crazy how you two people, you think it'd be schedules would be a little easy, but it's not.
You know,
And we've had little like pop up.
yep. And that's the difference in today's woman, entrepreneur, working woman. Sometimes it's a sidekick, sometimes it's our entire thing. We have other things going on. We have family, kids, parents, God only knows,
Mhm.
grandkids if you're looking after them. Today's woman is definitely much busier than what she used to be. At least that's what I think.
I agree. I mean, I think to some degree, I heard, I did a connect call with someone a few weeks ago, and she used the term sandwich generation. And I said, well, what does that mean? And she said, well, we're kind of sandwiched between parents and kids and
Yeah,
all the responsibilities that come along with, those things. So
yeah.
I'd never heard that term before. Have you heard that term before?
Yes, I had. And I have when I used to run with my running group, a lot of the women were experiencing that. And I'm not sure that we use that term because that was 10, 15 years ago. I don't know that we used the term at the time, but yeah, it's that being sandwiched in between the two. I get that. I mean, I did look after my mom for a little while. I was fortunate enough that it wasn't very long, but I find most people that I know my age, they're looking after their parent or parents in some way, shape, or form. And also sometimes childcare. It's become so expensive for women, young families to work. They don't have a choice around childcare. And
Mhm.
it takes, the true sense, it does take a village to raise a child now. So quite often grandparents step in, help out both sets, taking them to school or that type of stuff. So I'm looking forward to retirement. And the one thing, I don't have is children or grandchildren. And, my time will be my own. But I often know a lot of people that are retired that it's not. They start doing the grandparenting and looking after their grandchildren. So
So are both your parents deceased?
yes, they are. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you
So
ever feel lonely with that?
well, it was an interesting thing when my partner, Sue, her mother passed away, and her brother said, I'm an orphan now. And he's in his 60s. And it kind of struck me, what? Orphan? Like to me, I think of orphans as young. Like to me, it's a
Mhm.
natural thing. So absolutely. I miss, my mom was my best friend. She was my challenge. My partner, Sue, had a stroke at one point. She was my rock, you know it's funny because when I was growing up it was not like that at all. And then she became my best friend, so I miss her every day, absolutely.
Mhm.
And because being gay, I don't have children, I don't have an extensive family network, things like that. So getting older is a bit of more a fearful thing. What do you do? Well, who will look after you? My sponsor in AA right now, he's elderly, and he's looking for somebody to take over his estate when he passes away. And it's like, who does he leave that to? He's not got any family or that type of stuff. So it's an interesting dilemma that's a bit different. I think it's sometimes easier to just, here's the kids, it's going to them, and they're going to look after me and they'll help out and that type of stuff.
Mhm. And see, I'm the opposite. I am an orphan too, my husband and I both. And where I
Oh.
think I feel it the most is my daughters, one will be 21 next week. I have a 21 and 22-year-old, and they don't have grandparents. And then
Mm.
I see other people, my age whose parents are still around. Um, and it sometimes makes me sad. Um, so yeah, I do have my girls, and I probably at some point may look to grandchildren. I don't know really what their journey holds for them, but sometimes I'm sad too. And my mom. I took care of my dad when he was terminal, and I took care of my mom. And I kind of go through see some of the same patterns with my daughters. Like right now, I say I'm the Forrest Gump of the family with my daughters. Like nothing I say is right. Um, stupid is as stupid does, or whatever the expression he
Yeah, yeah.
uses.
I thought they outgrew that at 16 or 18. Not.
No, oh God, no. It's like it's I'm waiting for it. I have friends that, everyone says, oh, they outgrow it, they outgrow it. And then of course there's always challenges between, raising girls versus raising boys. And but anyway, I get, I sometimes very much feel that orphan because I feel to some degree we're young to not have our parents. Um, as I said, I have people that are older than me. Like my neighbor, she just lost her mom a few weeks ago, but she did lose her dad, a few years ago. And, I see people older than me that still have a parent. And I'm always, again, just a little, but it has its challenges too, that like we talked about, taking care of them. Like we don't have that responsibility anymore, but we understand it because we lived it. So it's like a catch 22. I mean, I would always trade having the responsibility and having my parents than being without. But we also know what it feels like, and the pressure. And honestly, to be honest, when you're going through it, it almost feels like a burden, doesn't it?
Yeah. And the worst part is sometimes, and I speak with a lot of clients and that have gone through this, and this is the part that gets them. Sometimes they feel a little bit guilty when the end comes because they feel a little relieved.
Hmm.
It's hard to watch a parent in pain, or for example, if they're suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's, and they don't recognize you anymore, or they become violent, and to get to that end, and then the guilt, because it's like, oh, finally. And you know what? All I can say is it's okay. It's all an evolution,
Hmm.
and it's okay to feel that way because some days it is hard.
Hmm.
I mean, my mother had her mental faculties, and I do deal with clients who their parents don't know them. The mother doesn't know them. The father doesn't know them. They're violent. And it's like they go for themselves,
Right. Yeah,
you
to
know?
to kind of almost appease, to some degree, I guess almost a guilt or fulfill a societal expectation or role that we've been placed in.
And I think
So,
sometimes it is about societal. What would people think? You know?
yes. Hmm.
However, in the end, it's okay. You don't have to feel guilty. I'm just gonna say you don't have to feel guilty about being all right. I call it being at peace.
Hmm.
um, and allowing yourself to be at that peace. My mother chose MAID, medically assisted in dying, and I know it's a very controversial thing.
Not for me, because I have to tell you, see, you're Canadian,
Yes.
and I kind of have been thinking, like I watched my mom die. It was not
Mhm.
fun. It was not pleasant. And I'm like, I can take care of my animals better
I know.
because, we get the choice of saying, okay, they're suffering. But I'm actually kind of relieved to hear you say that you have a choice. You can do that. Like, we can't do it here in the United States. I think very few states have something where it's medical assisted suicide, but I live in Delaware, Pennsylvania. There, it doesn't exist. And in fact, Delaware just voted against it again.
It is a difficult thing. Like both my mother-in-law and my mother did it. One was a horrible, horrible experience. The other one was a very beautiful, great experience. So, and like you, I sit there and think about my animals. I get to make choices about them and take them out of suffering. But I do know that with an animal, there's always did I do it too soon? Did I wait
Hmm.
too long? There's never a right time. And
I
when it
agree.
comes to our parents, we don't get to choose that. They choose that.
Well, that's what I think again helps
Yeah.
because I remember my dad. Now because Alzheimer's was in his family, and he's like, if I ever get Alzheimer's, I swear, and this sounds really violent, I'm going to take a gun to my head.
Yeah.
But, he was of that generation, but it never came to that. I mean, he died from mesothelioma. And then I watched my dad actually almost fight for his life, where at one point he's like, oh, I would, but they're different diseases. But that with my mom, she had small cell lung cancer, and literally, and hospice is great. They offer
Hmm.
palliative care, but it's still a lot of suffering. I
Yeah.
mean, she didn't eat for weeks. It was just not pleasant. So the fact that now tell me just a little bit about the experience of one being pleasant, one being unpleasant.
You know what? What I'm going to do is I think that maybe we should stop the tape and do this for the next time because that's a big topic, type of thing.
Okay.
So what we were talking about today was a sandwich generation. I thought maybe what we can just tell our audience what we're doing and why we're doing this is I'm a mindset and confidence coach. Anna is a
Self care, holistic coach.
Oh, you're using the word coach. She's been struggling with that word, just to let you
I'm still struggling with that. I almost want to say, like, my title is the midlife doula, you know that, but
know.
I struggle with the word coach. So I
Yeah.
was like,
So what we decided to do was come in and, we're going to talk about topics that relate to women, family, everything that happens that we think will be helpful for our audiences, because we have different audiences. So people out there, friends who we work with, all that type of stuff, women in general, hello, just helping out. So that's what our goal is and what we want to bring to you each week. So, and it's kind of like, there's no agenda here. It's our top of mind. If you have any things that you'd like to hear, opinions, ideas that you want to hear from us, please just put them in the comments below and we will talk about them. So anyway, we're coming back for another topic at another time. Thanks.